Hi everyone. We are very excited to be here at FITsOnTheGo at ACC 24 in Atlanta. My name is Amanpreet Singh Wasir. I'm a medical student from India representing the ACC medical student members community. And today it's my pleasure and honor to have Dr. Eugene Yang, who is a professor of medicine at University of Washington. Thank you so much, Dr. Yang, for taking out time and talking to us.
Aman, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So the topic for today's interview and the main focus of discussion today would be how to get ACC medical students, residents, and fellows, basically young professionals, involved more, and how do we take on leadership roles as far as different sections and committees of ACC leadership.
Yes, Aman, this is a very common question that I get asked. We see a lot of enthusiasm from the young professional group who want to be engaged with the college. So there are many different ways where that's possible. So if you are a student in a medical school in the United States, most of the states have their own ACC state chapters. So one of the first places to get involved is at the state chapter level. And within the state chapters, there are often areas of specific interest in working groups. So people who want to get involved as young professionals, for example, can join a women in cardiology section, for example, that we have at the state chapter level. They can get involved in the interventional group if they have interest in interventional cardiology. So why do I start with there? Because that really is a vehicle to then get to know the cardiologist within a specific specialty area of interest. And then that can segue into a personal relationship with those individuals where research projects could potentially be identified from people who are working at the state level, because many of the people who are engaged in the state chapters are often affiliated with academic institutions. Well, they are doing research and other projects. So I would say that is really a good first step to get engaged with the ACC, especially when you're trying to identify areas that you're interested in. At the national level or international level, so people who, let's say like you, who live in India, there are international chapters or Assembly of International Governors. So in India has an organization and structure to support that, and many countries around the world do as well. So there are opportunities to get engaged through the international chapters as well. And so that would be another resource to get started. Your question around like, how do you ascend into, let's say, sections and working groups within the sections? So that's a little bit of a more, I would say, refined process. And what I mean by that is that it's certainly possible for medical students and young professionals to reach out to the sections themselves, the leadership like myself, and say that I'm interested in participating on a working group. Let's say, since I do prevention, you're interested in hypertension. Somebody could easily just reach out to me and say, Dr. Yang, I'm a medical student and interested in hypertension or dyslipidemia. Are there opportunities for me to get involved? So we have no real framework where we would allow anybody at any level to participate, whether it's a medical student or a resident or a cardiology fellow. And in particular, we actively recruit fellows in training to serve on our council specifically. I think one of the things that's really important to distinguish is that we have a council that's usually comprised of maybe 15 to 20 people. And that council basically oversees the entire section, okay? So that's a process where you actually have to go through nominations and you apply. What are we looking for, right? So if you're a medical student, is it likely you're going to be on the council? Probably not. Why? Because we focus on competencies. And what are those competencies? The competencies are, how engaged have you been with the ACC? What roles have you played within the ACC? So you can imagine a medical student is not going to have a lot of things that they can bring that exemplify those types of qualities and skills that we need you to have, right? Residents also are probably not in a position where they're going to have a lot of exposure or opportunities to contribute because they're still in residency. So they may be getting involved in some things like the ACC internal medicine program. But is that sufficient for us to then review people's applications and say, you are really demonstrating the competencies that we need? Maybe not enough, right? But fellows in training are different. So fellows in training, if they've been involved in the ACC, let's say from medical school, now they've been involved in the internal medicine program, now they're fellows in training, then we look at those people and then they can get on working groups or work at the state chapter level. The more engagement and touch points you have with the ACC puts you in a much more favorable position. And that doesn't mean you're writing 15 papers, It's really a matter of what have you been doing and what's your level of engagement with the ACC.
So no, I absolutely thank you for that. That was great advice. And I think as far as international chapters are concerned, I think it's as you mentioned rightly, it's a leveling up. So we cannot expect to be in the leadership position at a very young level. But I would be interesting to know that what is your take on importance of mentorship in this kind of state where one young professional is interested in getting up there, and do we have that kind of a program at ACC where we can reach out to people and that ascend the ladder probably?
Yeah, so I will say that that's a little bit more unstructured way, right? So if you go through sponsored programs through the ACC, like the internal medicine program, medical student programs, then those are probably the best ways. But what we do know is that many of us, especially in academics, our job is to train the cardiology fellows, work with internal medicine residents as cardiologists, and many of them already approach us about what are projects and opportunities that we might be able to get involved with. So some of it requires some legwork by you, Aman, and others, right? To say, Dr. Yang, I know who he is. Will he help potentially facilitate, ways to identify mentors for him in India or in the United States? And many of us, that's what we do, right? Our job and why we choose to be professionals in academic medicine is to train the next generation of leaders, right? And so you should leverage the broad network of individuals within the ACC as a starting point, because most of us have connections with people globally or at least with other institutions. And so I'm certainly a resource, and many of the other leaders in the college can also be resources. And all of us are very receptive to receiving communications from you to try to figure out where there are opportunities for you to be successful in your pursuit of becoming a cardiologist.
Thank you so much. I think that's very clear that ACC has been very receptive as far as young professionals are concerned, right from medical students to residents to fellows in training. So I think we all have a take-home message as to how to reach out to mentors, to faculty leaders like you in ACC, and we definitely do have a direction in place. And I hope this will be really helpful for a lot of us out there who are aspiring to play a bigger role and be more active in ACC. So just a last follow-up question on that. What is your one take-home message for young professionals like us, and if we are aspiring to be more active in ACC, and just one tip, one suggestion that we could take back home with us? Yes.
Yeah, so I think I've tried to articulate that in what I said, but I would say focus on those who are living in the United States to get involved in the state chapters as a first step, because those are people who are local, living in your community. And that's the best starting point to really identify potential mentors who can then help you, guide you through the process of becoming a cardiologist. I think for international people, going through your individual country board of governors, that they have Assembly of International Governors, would be a starting point, because they are literally the conduit between the ACC globally and ACC here within the United States. And they're also very well connected to individuals in the college, so they can help facilitate and identify opportunities for you.
Of course. Thank you so much, Dr. Yang. And I think all of us have really benefited from what you have said, and we have a lot to work on. And we will definitely be reaching out to leaders like you, and we really look forward to being more actively involved in ACC. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Aman.
To watch more videos like this, please check out youtube.com/FITsOnTheGo and follow us on Twitter @FITsOnTheGo. Thank you so much.